everybody. Welcome back to Fire the Cannon. Jeremy Hubbard here, and we're glad to be back with you this week. We took a week off last week, just some different schedule changes, but we are back here, and we are ready to talk to all of our coaches this week. Talking to Coach Scott Ryle, to Coach Savannah Wilson, Coach Josiah White about football, uh, volleyball, and cross country. A lot of things going on this week at Brook Hill. We're filming on Thursday this week. This will come out on Thursday, so tomorrow night, football will be traveling down to Houston. You're going to hear Coach Ryle talk about that. Volleyball's in the district tournament starting today. They play at 6 o'clock tonight against Brentwood. They'll be back in action tomorrow. And then cross country wrapped up. They have their state meet on Monday. But you're going to hear all about that from our coaches. So thanks for joining us once again, and hope you enjoy this week's episode of Fire the Cannon. All right, back here on Fire the Cannon and talking to Coach Josiah White. Cross country, the regular season, so to speak, wrapped up this past weekend, and you hosted a meet here to give your guys one more chance. You lost your meet, and we talked about that.
Yep.
Talk about let's start with the boys first. A great year for them.
Yeah.
You set the standard for if we're not at this time, we're not going to state, right? And you're pushing them. Jose ends up qualifying for state, and that's it. But still talking about the year, just a great year for the guys.
Yeah, I was really proud of how we did on Saturday under those conditions to lose the meet, and then we just had a duel with Kings Academy, and thanks for Kings Academy for coming out, by the way, to give us a look, and Genesis PRs, and a 10-second PR, so it's pretty significant. Runs the best race, and James ran his second fastest time of the season. Price runs the third fastest time of the season. So we did a legitimately good job.
Yeah.
We just still have room for growth with those guys. But what I appreciate, what I've told them, is it's okay to go after hard things and not get it.
For sure.
And that's all right. And I really appreciate their attitude and how they've responded since then.
I was talking to somebody this week about something completely different than that, but you either lose or learn, right? Like if you don't win, so to speak, then you have to learn from it, and those guys will do that. That's a great group of guys.
Yeah.
The girls, they went into it needing, I think you said 5 seconds going into this week to get to the qualifying time, and thanks to your athlete of the week, who kind of said, okay, I'm going to do it by myself, Blair Brister has a 10-second a PR for her, and the team qualified. I know you're excited for those girls.
Yeah, it was close. So we had to get a 15:06, and after everybody came through and I got the times, I knew it was going to be tight. I'm not intelligent enough to know immediately to get a team average right after just looking at it. So I got to go plug it into a calculator. So I said, hey, give me a second. I'm going to go inside where I've got internet, plug it into the calculator.
Yeah, sure.
And we were 15:05. So, yeah, Blair, like you said, really did a great job, took a lot of that on her shoulders. And then Luba Vinnick, she dropped 21 seconds.
Wow.
So between really those two helping bring down our team time by 31 seconds, and then the average got us to where we needed to be.
That's wild. And so they'll be competing on Monday in Waco, correct? Is it in Waco?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Most TAPS events are. I just want to make sure on that one. So you're in here, you're going to take the girls team, and you're going to take Jose, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've kind of looked at some of this, maybe not everybody, but kind of where do they stack up, do you think, with what they'll see next week?
Yeah, it's going to be I think, tougher competition at the 5A level, and that was expected.
For sure.
There's some really good 4A teams that have moved up with us as well. So I calculated the average based on 4A, 5A, 6A last year to say, okay, if teams move up, if teams move down,
you got it.
I want to get a good picture of where we'd be.
For sure.
So honestly, if our girls run their best race, then they're going to be able to compete for a top 10 position.
There you go.
And Jose, if he runs his best race, I think can compete for a top 30.
Yeah, there you go. So that'll be
So,
fun. So that's Monday, and they'll be in Waco. Now I know that we'll have results for you. Obviously, if you can't make it to Waco, usually, and you may have talked to them about this, TAPS usually live streams the cross country race in some form or fashion. I know one year they had a guy on the back of a gator filming the leaders, which is we're not going to do that here, but maybe they can. But so check that out on Monday, and if we get the link, we'll post it on our social media for everybody to.
Yeah, they should have it on the TAPS website.
Perfect.
Just look at cross country, and it's on there.
So we'll post that, and we'll wrap things up next week with Coach White. And Coach, good luck to you guys and to the girls. and we'll talk to him next week here on Fire the Cannon.
Thank you.
All right, back here on Fire the Cannon with Coach Savannah Wilson. And Coach, we're filming this on Thursday, so a little bit different. You guys are about to get on a bus and head over to Waco and play in the semifinals of the district tournament. We'll talk about that in a second. Tuesday night, first round of the district tournament, Bishop Dunn came in. I got to be honest, I was trying to get out of there quick. The first game starts like, I look up and we're down. I'm like, what is going on, Coach? And then everybody settled in. We won 3-0. But talk a little bit about Tuesday night.
Yeah, Tuesday night was a good start, and we kind of talked about that. We couldn't look past Tuesday, even though we knew, we were playing Bishop Dunn and we had handled them before. We couldn't look past that match,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of where we started.
And it looked that way, but then you got it right. So a 3-0 win, and you handle your business. It guarantees you a playoff spot now, which is a huge thing. We've talked about this before, but basically the way the tournament works in all sports is if you make it to the semifinals, you're guaranteed a playoff spot. It's just about seeding now.
Right.
So you go into today in the semifinals. A win today gives you a home playoff game for sure because you'll be one of the top two seeds. And actually, I think the way it works, you could still get one if you're not one of the top two. But anyway, talk a little bit about today's matchup and what you expect.
Today's matchup is against Brentwood. Whenever we went there, we played them pretty close, and my kids are pretty fired up. They're excited to kind of prove that they're not the same team that they were.
I mean that's a good point. It's a good measuring stick for you to say, okay, this is where we were because you played them very first, right out of the box. Where we come from the first matchup to today, and if you win today, then obviously you're in the championship tomorrow and have a chance to finish as the top seed, which will be a huge accomplishment for this team. I think that going into the year, I mean obviously every coach and every team has their expectations, but you look at the district you're in and everything, and you've set yourself up nicely.
Yeah.
Maybe compared to where you thought it could go, but so Brentwood tonight. You'll get the winner or the loser tomorrow. Hopefully, it's the winner of Regents and Grace. And you're thinking, if you've been following volleyball, you're looking at that seeding. You're thinking, well, that's kind of funny. Yeah, it's because Regents beat Brentwood last week, which was kind of a shocker to you guys too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It was weird. But yeah. I want to talk about your player of the week because it's a unique one. I'll give you this one this time. Usually I say like, okay, you can only have one coach. You took these one, but talk about your seniors. It's a special group of kids that have put a lot into this program and are really a huge part of why you're being so successful.
Yeah, Brett Lee, she's our libero. We couldn't do it without her, that's for sure. She's very calm in the back row, and that's what we need. Cassidy Clark, she runs our offense. She's like our quarterback. Again, we couldn't do it without her. And Hadley Clark being the force in the front row, blocking with her hitting, and it's just they're a special group.
You had a rotation, and I don't even attempt to understand how rotations work in volleyball. But you had a rotation the other night. I looked up, and you had Mize and Hadley and Blair. Talk about how they've kind of decided they've owned the front this year, and that's something that maybe we didn't think would be the case.
Yeah, they've stepped up, and they've really it. I have chills because they have really taken the initiative to, step up and lead this team.
It's been fun. All right, so the matchup tonight is at 6 o'clock, right?
Yes.
I always have to ask you that every day. 6 o'clock. Then tomorrow, either 10 or 12.
Right.
That'll be wrapped up, and then we'll know playoff information hopefully this weekend, if not Monday or Tuesday. So be looking for that on our social media, and hopefully when we talk to you next week, we're talking about a first seed.
Yeah.
But we'll take second. We'll play home playoff game's good, right? We'll
Right.
take either one. All right, so we'll talk to Coach next week here on Fire the Cannon. All right, back here on Fire the Cannon with head football coach Scott Rowland. Coach, win last week, a great win on the road on a Saturday. A lot of distractions there, obviously, but you go to Grace Prep, a big halftime lead, 29-0, and then you start kind of like, all right, let's get some guys out of there. And it ends up 36-10. Still a great performance. What did you think about Saturday?
Yeah, it's always fun to get a lot of guys on the field, some young guys that deserve to play. I mean, they work all week, and they play Thursdays, but it was good to get everybody on the field.
I think maybe some of those young guys thought they might get a chance to play, maybe not as early. I know Larson Morris is a guy example for you put him at right tackle to start the second half, and I remember looking at him and he had those eyes like right now. But no, he did great, and a lot of those young guys performed well.
They did, and they deserve it, and those are going to be future Friday night guys probably pretty soon. So they need that experience.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this some way, but you look at the big senior class we have and the role they play, like it's going to be like, hey, next year if you show up and you're in high school, you may have a chance.
Yeah, that's and what's good about them, they're really good football players, and our JV's had a lot of success, and I think the time they're going to spend with Coach Kofer and getting bigger and faster and stronger, I think they'll be ready.
If they can find a way to make them a little bit taller, that'd be good too.
That'd
I don't
be
think
nice.
they can do that. All right, so this week's a little bit different. A non-district game, traveling down to Houston area to take on Tomball Homeschool Christian, which when you look at them, they're I mean, some places having the best homeschool in the state and one of the best in the country, honestly.
They are. They're very talented. I keep on reminding our kids that they're very very good football team. You can see that on film. Well coached, and they're extremely physical. Played some good tap schools and beat them, so it'll be a good challenge for us.
Yeah, it's a good test, right? It's especially with the next few weeks done next week and then Brentwood. You want to get some things right. You want to get guys healthy, but honestly, this is the best test you're going to have until you get to the postseason.
Yeah, there's no doubt. When I looked at filling this slot, it's really hard to. Everyone else is in district play, and I was fortunate to find a really good team to play against. So
they got a lot of guys now. And looking at kind of following my social media last year, they had a bunch of guys. I mean, this is a program that it's not maybe what you would think of a homeschool program, and that they have 6 or 7 guys last year that signed to play D1. They got some guys this year they're going to play, so it'll be a good test. That one's going to be at Tomball Concordia. So if you're looking that up, the folks at NetSN have actually put that address on the app. When we get the NetSN app, it'll show you there. Game will be broadcast on NetSN. Brett Swinney and those guys are going to be traveling. Let's go back to last week for a second and talk about your player of the week, Carlos Offrey, who, man, Carlos is kind of the guy. On the field, he's the guy. Off the field, he's the guy that gets him going. He had a great performance on defense last week.
He did. Grace had a really large individual running the football, and we kept on telling Carlos he's going to have to tackle him low, and he rise to the challenge, made a ton of tackles, and obviously he plays offense and did a good job running the football. He's a kid with a lot of energy, like you said, on and off the field, and he's one of our captains, and that's the reason why.
If you know Carlos, you've heard him. That's just kind of his thing, right? I do want to mention that because you mentioned Carlos playing a lot of offense. Obviously, last week with Braxton being down, not only did Carlos carry the rock a little more, but also Grant Gandy. I know we talked a little bit about those young guys, but Grant's a kid who had so much success on JV. He was like, all right, now let's see what he can do at the next level, and performed really well on Saturday.
He did. He led our team in carries. He's going to be a special individual throughout his career at Brook. He's a tough runner. He's hard to bring down, and I think he proved that, like you said, on Thursdays, but on Friday or Saturday, I guess, the game against Grace Prep.
One final question, nothing to do with high school football, college football. Illinois last week gets a big win. Michigan, you were excited about that on the way home. We're getting texts, and we're like, what are we talking about? Illinois having a great year, but no, come to the game Friday night, 7 o'clock kickoff down at Tomball. If not, it's on NetSN. Make sure and check that out, and we'll talk to you again here next week on Fire the Cannon. All right, back here, and thanks for watching today, Fire the Cannon. And want to talk real quick. We mentioned last week, this past Monday, was the Brook Hill Golf Classic, and a couple of things that we want to continue from that include a silent auction for some A.J. Minter auction items. I'm here holding the A.J. Minter bobblehead. Let you get a good look at that right there. A.J. Minter was gracious enough to hand us off a few things, a couple of signed hats. I saw a baseball in there. There's bobblehead, of course, baseball card, and 4 tickets to the Braves game of your choosing next year if you win that silent auction. We're going to post the silent auction on our Facebook page tomorrow morning, Friday morning. That'll be live for you. And that silent auction will run until next Friday. Now, not so silent. It's going to be on social media. Everybody's going to see what you bid. But that bidding will start tomorrow, and the winner will be crowned next Friday. So a lot of great things there. We want to thank you all for coming out to the Brook Hill Golf Classic, by the way. Just a beautiful day weather-wise, which has not always been the case there. But a lot of you showed up and showed out, and thank you for your support of Brook Hill Athletics. I think financially it's going to be one of our best ones in quite some time, and that's a credit to you guys for helping our athletes. So thanks for that, and thanks for watching again, and we'll talk to you next week here on Fire the Cannon.